So a short sutta that would be interesting to hear your thoughts on. It's the Udana, chapter 7, the 8th sutta. It's about Kachana. So, on one occasion the Buddha was living in Savatthi in Jaitaswood in Anathapindika's park. Now on that occasion the Venerable Mahakachana was sitting not far from the Buddha, having crossed his legs, keeping his body upright, having properly set up recollectedness of the body internally, and then the word parimokkhang, which...
around the mouth.
Well, yeah.
So internally means peripherally.
Ah.
So having properly recollected the mouth peripherally. The mouth as the representative of the body. If you're mindful of the entry points of your body, where the mind converges, you're mindful of the body.
Yeah, because it's funny because those two words, ajatang and parimokkhang, are quite clearly adverbs. They're both together. They're both describing having properly set up mindfulness of the body in this way. Ajatang, parimokkhang. So ajatang, so...
The reason why it's peripheral is because it's not about attending to your mouth. It's
right.
not about watching sensations on your lips or something. That's not what mouth is, by the way. Your mouth is not your lips.
Yeah.
So why would you be concentrating on your upper lip or whatever people would do?
Sensations.
But ask yourself, what is my mouth?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has the physical aspect. But what is the significance of that physical aspect? So the whole thing, that's what mouth is. So the physical side of it with the whole significance of it.
Yeah.
Consumption, again, point of relationship with the world, pretty much. A very personal thing. Consumption internally, the speech, expression, communication, relation, everything converges on the mouth. You taking up the mouth in that manner, as in being ignorant of its nature, means you take up the entire body, or bodily aspect of the mouth, which is what the body is.
So it's almost like the the mouth is the first point of contact. The
pretty much, yeah. It's that, as I said before, it's a point of converging between what's obviously mental and what's obviously physical. Well, this is that in between where you are sort of muddled about.
Yeah.
Like, how can your thoughts enter your mouth?
Yeah.
Yet you are speaking your thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does that happen?
Your mouth is almost more your thoughts than any other part of your body. It seems to be...
Well, that's where the conceiving happens, exactly,
yeah.
You regard your mouth as internally, peripherally, as that which actually belongs to the mental. But it doesn't.
I think also I'm right in saying that there's so much more muscular, physical muscular control around the mouth than the other part of the the body, the way we
it is for
lips.
animals even more so. The entire existence revolves around the mouth. When you want to touch, communicate, do, everything is done with the mouth, more often than not.
So it's one way in which you can be mindful of the body. So by peripherally
discerning the image of the mouth.
The image of the mouth.
Yeah.
And then for you, while you're doing that mouth stands for the body.
Exactly. And that's what it's meant in those Anapanasati Sutta.
Yeah.
Where it says whatever body there that he discerns through his recollectedness of breathing, that's what the body is for him.
Yeah. That's one body in the bodies, within the bodies.
Yeah. Basically, that is what your body is.
Yes. Yeah. But by using that point, it's not point, but using the mouth as the body to stand for the body.
That phenomenon, I suppose.
Yeah. To stand for the body, you're choosing something like the most fundamental link between the mind and the body.
What do you mean you're
say that?
choosing?
Well, so why the mouth? Why the mouth? Well, because the mouth just happens to be this.
It has to be something.
This most fundamental,
primal
connection, or not connection, but place where they do connect, through conceiving.
Yeah. Like primal, but in a sense natural way of sort of relating between the point of view and the body. Because as you know, in the other suttas it said, the body paired with consciousness. Consciousness is not in the body, nor the body is in the consciousness. It's just two simultaneous things. And their relationship results in the entire Namarupa, pretty much. That you can anything you can perceive, feel, intend is the result of consciousness paired with the body, or body and consciousness being there. And that whole relationship between body and consciousness is inconceivable to you. Because if you were to conceive how is your body conscious, or how the consciousness has the body, that would imply that you can step outside of those aggregates and see how they relate. That's you are fully within it. So the way this relationship is of the five aggregates is that, like mental and material, so to speak, superimposed together, and perception, feeling, intentions, they're all already points of converging, so to speak. Action on account of mental in regard to physical, action on account of physical in regard to mental. So now if you look at it phenomenologically, there are going to be some points where these things converge, where the taking up of the body happens first. And like, why is it a mouth? It's quite an irrelevant question, because if it's not that, it would have been something else. But why? It probably revolves around the whole, need for food, hunger, breastfeeding as a baby. The first basically point of pleasure, entrance into the world is through your mouth. And as a kid, as a toddler, you're completely unaware of your limbs and everything else, but you have awareness. That's where your mind is. And then you kind of grow from there, but not at the expense of it, but through it. In other words, that framework of your mouth being the point of relationship with the world remains, exactly. So you can only you can proliferate infinitely so within that framework.
And so then the
usually
groin becomes more...
Exactly, because it's the pleasure that governs the direction of your proliferation. If the mind is ignorant, which every mind is in the beginning, you go after pleasure. So every point of pleasure will kind of create a channel for possible proliferation. So your mouth being the main point, but then within that, once, say you're not starving, you don't go hungry, you eat 5 times a day, you stop seeing it. You stop seeing the point of pleasure being your mouth, and you start looking further. That's when the whole sexuality comes in, the groin. That's why literally in that sutta where Ananda was teaching to that nun, when he said it's the bridge. Sexual intercourse is the destruction of the bridge. Is the destruction of the bridge. But see, compare it basically to the food. You have to eat. And you can't stop eating. So the food for your point of contact of what the mouth is what the food is. But the food for the point of contact of groin is sexual intercourse. So it's the same thing in a way, just one is proliferated further. But it's the same principle, and theoretically you could understand that principle, but not before you actually stop providing food for the groin, literally. So that's what it said, like, no, this food is necessary, sure, so as a principle the food is necessary to some extent, but not to the extent of sexual intercourse. That must be abandoned. There is absolutely no justification for it. But then you can't just stop eating food then in order to undo the principle on the level of the mouth. You can't stop having sexual intercourse, and you will undo the principle of depending on sexual pleasure. But you can't do that to the food because it's much more fundamental. And that's why, again, as we spoke in the sutta, in the first jhana, you can't speak, as in the speech has subsided, because you're not taking up the mouth to the point of actual possibilities of breaking into speech. And that's when the first jhana, sexuality or any sensuality becomes inconceivable. You're fully secluded from it. Because if you're not taking up your mouth in such manner, how can your mind proliferate further to the other parts of convergence of pleasure on account of body? Inconceivable.
So that's right. So this parimokang word, which is usually translated as just in front.
Mm.
I think it only appears in this stock phrase.
With mindfulness.
With mindfulness.
Yeah.
But it is different types of mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of.
Because again, it's the mindfulness, it's the recollectedness of the same thing.
Yeah. But if we're to think of it as pari mukang, which is what it is literally, a pari around mukang, mouth, around the mouth.
Yeah, again, that's why physical solitude was always like the Buddha would urge monks, because you are not communicating,
Yes.
there's no chit-chat, there's no speaking, there's no listening to the others.
Yeah.
Because all those things imply convergent point of your mouth, of that whole domain of relationship through verbal.
Yeah, and although this, like for example, most of these sutras don't talk about jhana, although one of them does, I think. But most of them don't.
The
There
one
is
in
that one.
Anguttara talks about
the best
goes
one.
into jhana.
But if this is to be understood as around the mouth, then then all this mindfulness is somehow much more closely related to jhana than.
Sure. Well, that's how it's firstly
seems.
related. Around the mouth means properly mindful.
Yeah.
Mindful, proper representation of the phenomenon of the body in your experience as a whole.
Yeah.
You can take that now in the direction of jhana if you want.
Because you can then.
Because it's on the basis of that same
speech.
recollectedness, exactly. Yeah. So just dwell on particular characteristics of that.
Yeah.
Or you can take to the direction of Brahma Viharas,
Yeah.
as that sutta says.
Yeah.
So you can take in many other directions.
Yeah.
Properly establish recollectedness of that which happens to be the point of convergence between your mind and your body.
Yeah.
And again, like you see, if you were to start to think, like what is, as we said before, what is speech? Is it speech when you speak or when you don't speak? Is it speech the sound that comes out of your mouth?
Yeah, it's sort of.
Is it speech your thoughts being sort of, solidified into the verbal frequencies?
Yeah.
But how does that work?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the air from my lungs that comes through the throat.
It's a purely mechanical thing.
So it basically, my speech is the air from inside of me coming out, producing vibrations. So are my thoughts in my belly, and then they somehow enter that air? No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yet, by not thinking about it, you kind of merge it. You merge the two together, your thoughts and your speech.
Yeah.
You cannot see how they're two simultaneous phenomena,
Yeah.
but completely separate.
Yeah.
Like they cannot possibly merge or relate. It's just, and that's why, as Buddha said, having thought and pondered, as in having thinking and pondering there, enduring, one breaks into speech.
Yeah. I think it's funny how I think it's the tradition, the philosophers, I think since Thomas Aquinas, this idea of to be human is to be that talking animal, the rational animal. Language is like really.
Well, it's the domain of thought, of reflection, of expression, which is kind of limited to certainly doesn't go lower than the humans.
Yeah.
Like other animals might be able to communicate through sound, but it's far from establishing a domain of speech. It's just significance.
So our whole, what we are is based on this idea of this connection between the mind and the mental via language, via the mouth, via the speech.
The mind and the material.
The mind and the material.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's same with the food again. Like you think like by consuming food, by disappearing in you, you think like it's in you.
Yeah.
But the food is in the belly, which is out there with this table and this pot and the food. So the food is still closer to where it was before than it's inside of me. Yet the whole notion of consumption is like literally you are that barrier through which passes. Now it's in you, but oh wait, there is no in me. It's just a point of view in regard to this whole thing. And all that in its peripheral to in regard to what you're looking for. That's why it's ajata, the Pali internal.
Yes.
Literally.
Ajata
in terms of significance, it's literally what peripheral is. That's why the more you develop it, the kind
internal,
of
peripheral.
Less mind it continues to be.
Yeah. So maybe we can say, having crossed his legs, this is Mahakachana sitting there, having crossed his legs, keeping his body upright, having properly set up recollectedness of the body peripherally around the mouth. So the Buddha sees this. Having seen the meaning of this, on that occasion he uttered this utterance. For whoever, and it's a verse, for whoever there is always recollectedness, constantly established on the body.
Peripherally.
Yeah.
Not
He
attending.
doesn't say that, but yeah. In
the verse is
Ajahn.
inspired by what he described.
Exactly, yeah.
So when it
Ajahn.
says
Well, that's what
mindfulness,
he means by
recollectedness
yeah.
means basically recognizing the image of the body peripherally,
Ajahn.
not actually attending to what you're perceiving,
Yeah.
which is the result of the body being there.
Yes.
Your perception of your own body is secondary.
Yeah. So it's always and constantly, always for whoever there is always recollectedness, constantly established on the body. That doesn't mean focusing on something.
Body.
Yeah.
No, it means like recollectedness, the context
Can't
is
be
always
forgotten.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anything that occurs is within it.
Yeah.
And full discernment of that makes the context imperturbable. So it's always constantly there.
And then he says this.
Because the body is always constantly there,
Yeah.
by the way.
Whether you
Want it or not.
whether
Yeah.
you're aware of that or not. Yeah. So then he says, it could not be. It could not be mine.
Hmm.
It will not be. It will not be mine. He who regularly stays in that place, at the right time, he crosses over attachment.
Destroys all the conceit,
Hmm.
sense of I am. Because as we just said when we started this, that mindfulness of peripherally, the mouth as the convergence point that's not speaking, is mindfulness of the body.
Yeah.
And you train in that kind of peripheral image, peripheral recognition, recollectedness, you become familiar with the nature of it. And the nature of their body is there. Like a lump, a collection, like pile of elements. Like other things that are around here that are clearly not yours. Clearly cannot be yours. That's the point of that cryptic verse. It's not cryptic at all.
No, that's the thing. It's
means like not just that it's not mine, but even in the future things cannot be any different so that things could possibly become mine.
Yeah.
It's inconceivable. So not just that it could not be for me, it won't be for me.
Yeah.
Either way, it cannot be for me in the future because it's all on the basis of this right now, which is unownable.
So, I mean, basically, it could not be. It means, like, okay, so there's this thing here, but it could not be.
Yeah.
Like,
first, you had no say in the thing that's here,
yeah,
so it could have not been.
Yeah.
You could say that.
Yeah.
You could translate it as it could have not been here. But whatever it is, it won't be mine or for me because, again, it came on its own.
Yeah.
So it's nothing other than like full development of the principle that already Sotapanna understands.
Yes. And
whatever is of the nature to arise, that's why it's of nature to cease.
Yeah. There's nothing. It's not like cryptic. It's not like some Vedic old verse or something.
No,
it's just a description of anicca.
Yeah. On a most accurate level, because there is absolutely not even the slightest room for the sense of I am to remain lingering in regard to that which had could have not been, which means you had no say in its arising.
So, and if it could have, if it could not have been manifested, in which case there's no possibility for it to be mine.
Of course, yeah.
So that possibility for it to be mine is not nothing to do with me. It just happens to be because that it becomes possible because that thing happens to have manifested.
Yeah, which means doesn't
so
matter
my
how
sense
much
of ownership it depends upon something which I have no control over.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter how much of it is felt as mine, how much of it is mine.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, it cannot be mine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because there is no mine without thing given beforehand.
Yeah.
That is now mine. So that whole verse, it's not it's not like a description of a process of what happens or how you have to reason.
Yeah.
It's just a direct insight of whatever is of the nature to arise. That's why it's impermanent.
Yeah.
Not because I wait for it to see it disappear or because I apply myself. No, it's because it has arisen on its own.
Yes.
That's why it will have. That's why I cannot own it.
Yeah.
That's it. Full stop.
Let's be explicit. It here means the body. As we talked about, this is mindfulness of the
Sure.
body.
And mindfulness of the, like recollectedness of the body being the necessary basis for everything.
Yeah.
Your whole universe,
Yeah.
as the Buddha says, within the body,
Yeah.
within the basis of that body.
And
So,
so
if you regard the body
yeah.
as that which is just could have not been, as in I'm not saying it's arising, which means I'm not its master, which
Yep.
means I cannot entertain ownership even if I want to.
Yeah.
And that's automatically felt, by the way, the absence of ownership.
Yeah.
Once you see it correctly, you don't need to then go and
Figure it
let
out.
go of your ownership
Yeah.
on account of what you understood.
Mhm.
Your understanding means letting go of the ownership.
Mhm.
And that also will start to pertain then to the possibility of the future body, as in later on.
Mm.
Because see, if you're not completely free from doubt, like it might be apparent that now nothing can be yours, but there is a still tacit assumption
That it could
that
be.
things might be different
Yeah.
in the future
Yeah.
to some extent, and to that extent to allow you to own them.
Yeah.
But now even the whole domain, not a particular possibility
Yeah.
of this or that, but the domain of the possibility,
Yeah.
as in the nature of possibilities, it has to be of the same nature that it's unownable,
Yeah.
because it could have not been. Thus, it won't be for me, whichever way it is.
Yeah.
Cannot be for me, even if I wanted to.
And so regularly staying in that place.
Yeah, clarifying, recollecting, and then clarifying what you recollected, the context of the body correctly,
Mm.
which is that peripheral recognition that the body is here. See, I'm talking to you, feeling like this, thinking that, want to do that, because this body is here enduring as a necessary basis for all these possibilities and actual engagements.
Mm.
So it's not about you finding in like the particular points of your body's sensations and attending to it, because actually that in order to do that you need to ignore the context.
Yeah.
See, that's another act you're caught up in. I'm attending this, I'm feeling, touching, moving,
Mm.
whatever else. No, all of that is possible because the body is there beforehand already.
Mm.
And that's where your mindfulness is.
Mm.
On recollecting that right order, recollecting that correct image, the mind comes first, because the right image comes first. That's the entire point. The clearer that becomes, the harder to lose it will become. The harder to distract yourself from it will become. And that means your experience will be more and more and more dispassionate.
Yeah. And at the right time, he crosses over attachments.
As in all
It's all
have
done.
all of the conceits, all the attachments, all the senses of ownership, or whatever else you've been sort of entertaining, however vaguely, it ceased,
Mm.
because you stopped providing a fertile basis for